Once upon a time, in a little town nestled between rolling hills, there lived a poor family. They weren't just poor in terms of money, they were poor in happiness, poor in hope, and most of all, poor in dreams. But among them was a young boy named Daniel, who, despite having every reason to believe his life would be ordinary, never gave up on dreaming. Daniel's school was far away and the bus was always full, so every day he walked. On his way home, he would pass by a big park. Other children would run around in the park after school, but Daniel never joined them. While other kids played, he sat under a broken streetlight with an old notebook, writing and rewriting his dreams. He wrote about becoming an engineer, building something great, and creating a life bigger than the limits around him. He was so engrossed in his writing that he didn't notice the world around him. To everyone else, Daniel was just a poor kid with worn-out shoes and patched-up clothes. They saw him walking alone, carrying his books, and they'd laugh and say, "Look at Daniel, the bookworm. He's probably going to spend his whole life reading. Poor kid has no chance of making it big." But Daniel heard their words, yet he paid them no heed. Deep inside, he carried something that money could never buy, an unshakable belief that his life could be more. One day, while sitting under his streetlight, he came across an article about a famous engineer who had changed the world. The man in the article had accomplished incredible things. And as Daniel read about his achievements, something stirred within him. He felt a sense of wonder and possibility, a belief that one day he too could leave his mark on the world. Yet life is never kind at the start. The next day at school, Daniel's teacher called him in front of the class and said, "Daniel, you are not smart enough to become an engineer. Why don't you accept your limits and work towards something you can achieve?" Hearing these words, Daniel's heart sank, but he knew his teacher was wrong. Daniel worked every day. He studied hard, but he failed his exams. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Each failure felt like a heavy stone on his chest. For a moment, he thought of giving up. He was tired of studying and the taunts of others. He wanted to feel the warmth of belonging, even if it meant giving up on his dreams. But then he remembered the words his grandmother once whispered to him. "Every great tree was once a small seed. Your struggle is the soil. Grow." His grandmother's words became his strength. He refused to let his circumstances define him. He studied even harder, reading by candlelight and asking questions until he got answers. He learned from his mistakes and kept moving forward. Slowly, his marks improved. His teachers noticed his persistence and his friends stopped making fun of him. Still, the road was not easy. At times, Daniel had to work 2 part-time jobs to pay for his books, and he walked miles to school because he couldn't afford the bus fare. People kept doubting him, but he was determined to prove them wrong. He was willing to suffer now so that one day he could succeed without limitations. Years passed and Daniel finally graduated as an engineer. The boy who once studied under a broken streetlight now stood on a stage with his family crying tears of joy. And that was not the end. Daniel went on to design bridges, schools, and hospitals that changed lives in his town. One day, while visiting his old neighborhood, he saw a group of children playing in the park. Among them was a young girl who reminded him of himself. She was sitting alone, drawing pictures of buildings and machines. He walked up to her and asked, "What's your name?" "I'm Maria," she replied. "And you?" "Daniel." "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "An engineer," said Maria with a big smile. "Like Daniel, the one they tell stories about, who made our town better." Daniel smiled back. "That's me," he said. "But why do they tell you stories about me?" "Because you're a hero," Maria said. "You make us believe that we can achieve our dreams no matter how poor we are. So my dear friends, life will test you. People will doubt you. Failure will knock you down again and again. But remember this, dreams do not belong to those who quit. Dreams belong to those who fight, who persist, and who refuse to surrender. Every time you choose persistence over doubt, every time you take one more step forward, you are building a future that will one day inspire others." This story was brought to you by Motivoons, where stories come alive to inspire hearts and minds. If Daniel's journey inspired you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs motivation, and subscribe to Motivoons for more powerful stories.